Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on my channel PokéPidge. As you all probably now know, Pokemon released their Gen 8 trailer on the 27th of February. I have been looking at this trailer religiously, trying to find any small detail under any nook and cranny in any frame of the trailer. In part 2 of my 4-part series into the new trailer, I'm going to be looking at the new Gen 8 starters of Scorbunny, Sobble and Grookey. I'll let you know my thoughts and opinions on these, and maybe even what I think these Pokemon might be based off on a more broader scale, rather than just a rabbit, a water lizard and a monkey. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The embers that come from Scorbunny's feet are pretty cool. That's something I think is going to carry on showing. I think it's going to be linked to some sort of energetic theme. I think Scorbunny at some point will learn Blaze Kick, which is the signature move of Blaziken, the final stage fire-type starter of Gen 3, and also it can be learned by Chimchar through breeding. Chimchar itself is the Gen 4 starter. Scorbunny's ears remind me of Grubbin. Here is Grubbin here. You can probably see the similarity. I don't think there's going to be any similarity between Scorbunny and Grubbin in the actual game, but it was just a nice little coincidence. The plaster on Scorbunny's nose is very symbolic of Japanese media, and it is used when people have been fighting or involved in physical contact of sorts. Considering we have already had 3 fire fighting types, and Generation 7 was Fire Dark, but it was a wrestler, so they just chose Dark to get away with it. It was basically fire fighting. It would be a bit of a step backwards to have yet another fire fighting type. It would mean that half of the fire type starters would be fire fighting, and I'm not a fan of that. I hope they steer away from it, but we can only dream. To break down the name a little bit, we've got Scor and Bunny. It's pretty easy to understand why Bunny is in there as a reference. Of course, it's a rabbit, and Bunny, or words playing off of Bunny, are used in every single rabbit Pokemon so far. You've got Buneary, Lopunny, and Bunnelby, so I'm not really surprised by Scorbunny. Scorabbit would be pretty cool, but they went for Scorbunny. And as for the score part, people are speculating that it could be linked to football. And yes, I say football, I'm not saying soccer, because it is football. We're in the UK, it's based off the UK, it's football. We invented it, it's ours. But anyway, it's very energetic, as you can probably see by all of the footage, and it's got big feet. I think that's pretty much the only link, so they're quite weak links really. I think the score just stands for Scorch, to be honest, and we've just got a Fire Bunny that's a little bit energetic. So, not too sure where the football link is going to come into it, but if it does, we'll see how that goes. I personally quite like Scorbunny. I think it's the most popular so far. In fact, Pokemon did a Twitter poll and I think it came out on top by 1% though, only just. But still, I think it's pretty cool. I can see why people like it. I will end up using it, of course. I'll end up using all of them. I'll probably use it second. As for using first though, we go to Sobble. I am firmly on Team Sobble right from day one. Of course I'm going to reserve my judgment until the final evolutions of these starters are released, but I'm pretty sure Sobble is going to be an absolute joy for me. I personally really love reptiles, and the thought of a water lizard as a starter is pretty cool. My favourite starter of all time is Treecko, which is based off of a gecko, and its final evolution Sceptile is one of my favourite Pokemon, quite possibly in the top 5. So, having another reptile-based Pokemon introduced as a starter is really pleasing. I am so looking forward to it. Its name, Sobble, is probably based off of bubble and sob because it's got a very timid nature. But we've seen this before in Pokemon like Magikarp, Feebas and Wishiwashi. Magikarp and Feebas evolve into Gyarados and Milotic respectively, both of which are incredibly strong. And as for Wishiwashi, it's got the ability School. So, when it turns to level 20, it can evolve into something massive. I think this sort of theme is going to carry on with Sobble. It's going to evolve into an absolute hulking bruiser. It perfectly fits its theme of, just trying to be timid and hide. It's pretty cool. It's something I hope carries on into other evolutions. Maybe not the timid nature, but I just mean being able to hide. It might have some sort of ability or special move. I don't know. We shall see. As for its anatomy, I think that the yellow fin is going to be something that is going to carry on through its evolutions, and it's going to grow all down the back of this Pokemon, and it's going to become a central sort of design element, if you want to call it that. I think it will remain the yellow colour, but of course its main body will stay blue and light blue. But we shall see. It's going to be very interesting. I'm pretty sure this Pokemon is based off of the Jesus Christ lizard, which is able to run on water, hence the name Jesus Christ. And this takes us on to Grookey. Just because Grookey is going to be my third choice for a starter when I have a third run through doesn't mean I don't like it. I must admit, initially I was in two minds. But the more I look at Grookey and the more I look into these Pokemon, the more I think, hey, actually, it's pretty cool. I quite like it. The Pokemon website says it's quite curious and mischievous, which is really interesting because it's a cute little guy. I must admit, it does seem to be making a lot of noise with its stick before climbing up a very tall building onto the chimney in this trailer. Speaking of that stick, I've got a couple of ideas of what it could be. I think it's going to be a recurring physical attribute. It's going to be something that's going to get larger and larger, sort of similar to Timber, to Conkeldurr, etc. But I do think it's something that's going to keep going and keep growing. As for what it is though, I've got a couple of ideas. If Scorbunny is going to be based off of some sort of footballing, influence, then maybe Grookey is based off of a cricket influence. Football is obviously a famous British sport, cricket is a very famous English sport, so this region being based off the UK could provide a good basis for these certain things to be influences for Pokemon. But I don't know, I'm not 100% convinced. As for the stick itself, it could be a cricket stump of sorts or the actual wicket, I don't know. It is very interesting though, and if the sport theme is going to be something that's very prominent, then I can very much see this being cricket. However, I firmly believe this stick is a clave. A clave is a wooden percussive instrument, and seeing that Grookey was hitting a rock with it earlier in a rhythmic fashion, I think we're going to see some sort of drumming type Pokemon. Maybe the clave will evolve into a rain stick, and then the rain stick will evolve into some bongos. And this Pokemon could be a bongo playing Pokemon. I firmly believe that's what we're going to get. I mean, this stick looks too clean and too, perfect to be a stick it's found on the floor. It's obviously something it's made or found, and I firmly believe it's either actually a clave or based off of a clave. We've seen Pokemon like Farfetch'd hold an actual leek, so maybe this Pokemon can hold an actual clave. How many more times am I going to say clave in this video? Clave! But I don't know. All that I know is, if Grookey is going to follow the musical theme or the percussive theme and end up being a bongo playing chimpanzee, I don't know, he might sneak into being my favourite one of these starters. We'll have to wait until the final evolutions of these three are released. But until then, that's all the thoughts I've got, to be honest. What are your thoughts on these anyway? If you hadn't seen them before this video, what are your initial thoughts from my video? Leave your comments down below, like, share and subscribe, do whatever you want. Until the next time, I'll see you all later.